Any additions, deletions, that sort of thing?
Nothing for me.
I'll make a motion to
Huh?
approve.
We added the purchase.
Oh, that's right,
We wanna change
yes. We have a action item, we need to add the reinstatement of the,
The purchase of the Chromebooks.
well, that, yes, but reinstatement of the enrichment funds. That was in the budget, but there's also, there's the, with the same funding, there's gonna be a request to purchase Chromebooks and a Chromebook cart.
To call it 4.2.
Yeah.
Can that be both the same?
Yeah, well, the enrichment fund is already in the budget, I misspoke. The enrichment fund is already in the budget. We had just not, we told everybody it wasn't gonna be there.
Right.
And now it is. But now we've got the additional funds, and so we want approval for purchasing the Chromebooks and stuff for District 7,
So with the reinstatement.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
the
so I'll
enrichment funds
make the
purchased.
motion to approve it, to add 4.2 for the enrichment fund.
Okay, all's in favor?
I
Opposed? Okay. 1.2, approved minutes of the 8/28/2019 board meeting.
So we didn't meet in September.
No.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Let's go on to 2.1, board reports, OSBA meeting. Clayton, got anything going on? Nothing? Jim?
Went to the meeting, it was all right.
I went to Seattle for a week. That was fun.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Filled out my social security application today.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right.
That's a big step.
Huh?
Is that like when you turn 21?
Yeah,
It's
about
next
that.
step?
Yeah.
It's the last thing you look forward to.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's true.
John?
Quiet, you know, like beer.
Stephanie? I have nothing either. Anybody else? Sarah or Gator? Anything you want to add? Come on, you guys have done something exciting.
Taylor's pregnant.
I'd ask you, but you'll have enough for me later, so.
Yeah.
Let's go to financial report.
Okay. You guys have all your normal reports in front of you. I just wanted to take the opportunity on this gray sheet to point out things that hopefully you notice, and hopefully in the future we'll have no qualms questioning. But you can see the difference of our bank balance from last year to this year is pretty significant. And that's a lot to do with our special funds. We had 31,000 less in our Youth Mentor Program Fund because last year at this time they had grant money that they then spend down throughout the year, and we haven't received grant money yet this year, although we do have some on the way. There's $19,000 less in our car fund because we have another car out in our parking lot. There's $9,000 less in our early learning because of the kindergarten camps that we got reimbursed for in October. But it doesn't show in the September balance. And then there's about $15,000 less in our general fund, which was planned. So they're very good. This is an anticipated difference in our funds. I just want to make sure that you guys don't have any qualms about asking questions about things that you notice. It's never a problem to have those explanations. Of course, most of the time it will probably be something where I have to get back to you on. I have to look into it, but were there any other questions on the actual reports? I have a few other things to talk about.
I was just wondering how much more, I'm sorry, did this audit cost us than the last time? Because I know we have a new company now.
Yeah, it was in the realm of $20,000 to $25,000 more.
More?
Yeah.
So are we mandated to have to do it every year?
Yeah.
Yep.
I know, yeah.
And they were the least, weren't they the least expensive?
Well,
Or was there one that was?
it was pretty much a tie. The other company that bid on it said, well, we can't do all of them. They didn't know if they could do all of the schools until they knew if they had the county job or not. when they found out they didn't have the county job, then they said that they could match the $65,000 quote. And that was, we had to bargain down, the company that we have, we had to bargain them down to 65.
Yeah, they had bid us at, we had asked, we got the first bids and they were astronomical. But we didn't, we just
I
said
would
this
say
is,
like 85.
yeah, like 85,000. So we got,
Yeah.
so then we got, we went back out and said, all right, give us a menu option of the different districts. So what's Adel gonna cost? What's District 7 gonna cost? What, give us a price on each one. So they each bid out each one individually. So then we looked at that and went, oh, hey, they're giving a lot lower price on this one than this company is. So we added those up and said, hey, we can get, if we piece it apart, we can get it for 65,000. So I called up both companies, or Sarah did, I don't know which one of us, anyway, we called up both companies and said, if we piece this apart, we can get these services for $65,000. If you want the whole thing, would you be willing to do it for $65,000? Because their original bid was like, well, even with it pieced apart, it was still 80, I think it was 80,000. And both companies came back and said they would do it for the 65,000. So they dropped like $15,000, which to me was, I don't know, was amazing that they would do that, other than, I guess, they bid it out there thinking, we don't want to do it, but if you're down enough to pay that much, we'll let you do it. So we got them down to 65, which is still almost, wouldn't it double?
I want to say that we were at either 37 or 40,000 for the other.
Why is that?
So,
That's crazy.
Because they
That's
can,
what I was wondering.
yeah, they know we're mandated,
Well,
there's,
Yeah,
After they went through a year, they might be able to
Exactly.
cheapen it up, but
They know it's mandated.
I don't know if they said that at the outset. I didn't really pay attention to that because I feel like that's just kind of the sweet talk thing.
Yeah, that's
You
what-
know, I don't
yeah.
know.
once they're
that-
getting it, they'll probably keep getting it.
Yeah, I've never had anybody actually reduce.
Yeah.
So, on something like that.
Good for you for, did you say Sarah did that? Sarah
No, I
had it like
think
that?
he made the call, but
Wow.
anyway, we worked on it together, and we figured out we could get it
Double
for
teamed up.
that's right.
65.
Will we continue to look elsewhere though?
Every 3 years, unless we decide that this year we didn't, if we don't like them this year, then we can go out again. But our normal practice is every
Yeah.
3 years.
I just wondered for that cost, where it would be.
Is there anything great, fancier folders or anything?
No, actually, it's
Not even
kind
colored
of,
paper clips.
actually, it's been kind of,
Toaster?
it's been kind of scary because it's been silence is deadly.
It has
We have
been.
not heard, it was what, 2
No.
weeks ago I asked you, have you heard anything back? She's like, no, I'm really scared. And now you still haven't heard anything back, so.
Yeah, and I had
Wow.
called before you, I had called it, and I hadn't, yeah,
But
so.
there, somebody answered the phone? It
Yeah.
wasn't the secretary's number, this number's been
Yeah.
no longer
Disconnected,
working.
Yeah.
Well, will we want to go back and look for another one, or you wanna continue? I guess it's a
I don't
decision we
know.
have to make now, but.
Yeah,
I think it's something that I think it's something to definitely talk about, but it's gonna be difficult because the company that left us, left the county and left all of our school districts,
Maybe
and
left
they
Sarah.
left somebody else. Who else?
Coaster.
That's right.
They left somebody else, the county, and who else? There was somebody else.
They left a lot of clients.
Yeah, so,
They just didn't wanna,
Well, they got a
So
big,
they-
they got a job doing the finances, so like, the way we contract for North Lake, they do for the Harney, the school district there in Burns. And so that was enough to keep them busy, and they've been short-staffed, and a lot of audit firms are short-staffed, especially the municipal audits, which I think is why we only got the 2 bids. I know, right? So,
Okay.
we may revisit that, I don't know.
I mean,
I
like
think-
speech
We'll see, I guess, how it goes.
Yeah.
see what the
Yeah,
feedback's
yeah,
like.
we'll see it through and see, but, any other questions on that kind of stuff? Okay, so a quick update on how we ended last year as far as spending our 90% of our funds. All the way through June 27th, we were right on with spending our 90%. We did good. June 28th, we got a notification from Department of Administrative Services that there was a very long outstanding bill of like $27,000 for our internet that I had disputed. So on June 28th, we were notified that that was forgiven. So that means that we
That
put
one
that
was-
$28,000 back into the schools.
oh, is that the
So-
one that was like years ago? It's been going on for
No.
3 years or 2 years?
Maybe 2 years.
But you got them to say,
Yeah, to just let it go, so.
wow, good, look at
Yeah.
that.
I was
Wow.
surprised, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought maybe they'd say, okay, just 20,000 or something, you know, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's great. Gosh, good work, Shar.
But that means that we've got that now this year on top of our 90% to spend. And that's part of the request to buy Chromebooks and a cart. It'll come to just under $10,000, or maybe it's right at $10,000.
Right at 10,000, it was just
It is.
under, like,
Yeah. When you add the shipping, well, no, it is just under
9,000.
2,000, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be the request. It's for an elementary classroom at District 7.
Well, it's elementary, it's a mobile cart, so they
Mobile, yeah.
can move around the building.
Yeah.
When we got this money, had it been budgeted?
Yeah, so because it was a payable, I had to treat it as if we were obligated. It was an obligation, so I treated it as if it was spent, so that it would be earmarked and we wouldn't find ourselves in the hole if we
Okay.
had to, if we spent it twice, you know what I mean?
So that 90% is not gonna be a problem?
The 90%.
The amount that we have to spend on services, it won't be a problem with that?
To split with the 27. So that what ended up happening was by June 30th of last year, we had underspent by that $28,000 because they
Okay,
gave us, they didn't give me any notice before June 28th,
Okay.
that they were even deciding. So we just rolled that $28,000
over this year.
over to this year to spend on our schools.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So, and that's also part of the enrichment fund reinstating that $10,000 enrichment fund. So that's that. Any questions on that? Okay. The last bit of news, the PERS Employer Incentive Fund, is that familiar to anybody?
Yeah.
The state is trying to incentivize employers to throw money into the state savings bank account to offset our PERS rates, right? So if we put in a chunk of money, the state will match 25% and put that in, and it will reduce our PERS rates over the years. This is a great option for a lot of districts. For the ESD, I'm not sure that it really makes sense. We would, if we put in a $100,000 payment, which would take us down quite a bit on our cash carryover, it would give us rate relief of 1.5%. And so I don't know, like over 15 years, you almost double that investment. Maybe over 20 years, you might double that, where you saved $200,000. But for us, unless you guys are really interested in it, I was going to pass.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this. I'd heard of the mandatory, not mandatory, but the savings account.
Yeah,
But I had not heard about the break and PERS or anything.
yeah. So basically what we're doing is, if we put in 100,000, and we can put in $25,000, we can put in whatever. But if we put in $100,000, then basically we're paying, they amortize that $100,000 over 20 years, and they pay your PERS obligation using that, and so your rates on your payroll are decreased a little bit.
Why would we put in 100,000? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, well,
To
so.
get a terrible interest rate.
Yeah, so if we put in $100,000, and normally our PERS rate is 30%, well then, that $100,000 investment makes it 28.5% that we pay on our payroll for PERS. There's a rate relief is what they call it.
Well, how much do you get if you put that $100,000 somewhere else, like in a
Yeah,
bank?
right,
Even just-
you get, right now it's 2.5% interest rate on that $100,000. But your 1.5% PERS rate relief is on, I don't know, almost $1 million in payroll.
And these would be reserve funds, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah,
So our reserve funds right now are with the state, basically.
Yeah, in the pool account, most of it
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Do they pay better than the account we have it in now?
Yeah, I would think so. It's just the risk of, do we want to risk reducing our cash carryover to a $200,000 level? You know? A lot of, see, the difference between the ESD and school districts is that school districts get their state school funding and they can spend it on their students. And if they have a good economy of scales, they can save some of it. An ESD has to spend 90% of what we get, and we get 10% to pay for our superintendent, our business manager, parts of us. And the thing about the small ESD is up until about 6 years ago, we were on static funding, so we weren't able to save money, which is why it's more risky for us than it is, say, like Adele.
Yeah.
Their PERS payroll stuff is so small that they could put
Let
in
them put in
$100,000 and it'll bring it
Yeah,
down to
But
like a
building the kitty back
9%.
up could be,
Yeah, so
troublesome.
for us, exactly, it'll take a very long time.
because you only have that 10% to draw off of to build it.
Right.
Yeah,
If you,
exactly.
if you deposit that 100,000,
Mhm.
is it locked, so to speak? Can you
Deposit it
access
with PERS?
Yes.
Yeah, it's done, you're done.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah,
It's in the PERS account and then,
Mm.
yeah.
It just makes you wonder if somebody would come up with some other idea and keep your money, but
Well, so this isn't like an investment where you're loaning them $100,000. They're using your $100,000 over 20 years to pay down your rate. So at the end of 20 years, you don't get it back. It's
It's gone,
spent.
yeah.
You're spending it, you know, so.
But what's in 20 years, how much what would that be?
We-
200,000 or something?
Yeah,
So you double your investment in 20 years, basically.
pretty much, yeah.
well,
If all the
Yeah.
projections are correct, the
Yeah,
economy.
if all the
If the
state
state
growth,
follows what it
projections
says it's
and
gonna
all
do.
the, we
Yeah.
don't have a
Always been
recession,
Right.
you know, we don't have a recession.
I mean, that's
All that
kind
kind
of
of
You know.
how we got in this position in the first place.
It doesn't
little
take
bit.
much to lose
Yeah.
$100,000, I think 200,000.
Right, yeah.
Cash carryover's not adequate, I don't.
yeah.
Right,
Well, Sarah, are this organization's PERS indebtedness, so to speak, I'm not clear on how that works. Are they going to bill this organization if our employees stay a long time and collect from PERS? Are they going to say, you know, compared to what you paid in, you owe us $60,000 because of employee B? Or
right. I'm a little bit shady on this part, but my understanding is it takes a village to pay a debt, basically. So the UAL is a big pool of money, and it's not really designated specific, well, the debt is designated, allocated to the districts and to other agencies. But when you pay, so like when we pay in our $100,000, if we were to do that, our rate would reduce, but our individual UAL wouldn't be affected. It would still be allocated the same way based on the pool and based on our payroll compared to the rest of the state. So it's not really our individual debt, from what I understand.
Yeah,
But it's our individual rate that we pay in until the whole state is out of debt.
and does our individual rate differ from, say, District 7?
Right.
Other than, say, you know, we have some Tier 1 and they have
Right.
more?
Because we have never done a side account similar to this, it is the same rate as other districts who have never done a side account. If we were to do a deposit like this, then our rate would be individually affected. And
Okay.
so we would have our own rates moving forward.
Oh, I see.
Is this a one-time deal or?
No, this sunsets in 2042. There will be other application cycles. They anticipate one maybe in 2021.
So if we decided we have another shot at it. we decide that's-
Yeah, we could have another shot at it. The thing that is unique to this window of time is that we would have a guarantee of that 25% match. Whereas after December 2nd, we're just in the general pool, however they choose the recipients.
Any thoughts? Yea or nay?
I would think no.
I'm a nay.
Yeah, I'm not confident enough
No.
to throw $100,000 at something I'm just
Yeah.
not very clear.
You never know,
about.
we may need that for something else.
Yeah, I would recommend against it myself, but I just wanted you to be informed on what it is. So.
Do we have to vote on that or just?
No.
No, okay, good.
Take an action, no, just take an action.
Okay.
Anything else, Sarah?
No, that's it.
Any other questions for Sarah?
Well, I was looking at I see where the snacks for the mentor board meeting spent $17.98.
Pretty steep. Just saying.
Just saying.
Taylor cannot spend that. Tonight might have been a little expensive.
Let's get to the bottom of this.
Hey, we'll do a
Travis
superintendent's report, you got 10 minutes.
It went off real quick. All right, hopefully you have read my 2-page report, or page-and-a-half report. Just one thing is just welcome Daphne Greer. She's our new mentor program director. So it's really important that we recognize that. We'll have to say goodbye to Kathy Miles, but it's been fantastic having her around again. So my report, other than what I have here, is very ambiguous, and it's driving the bus and building it at the same time. The legislation got finished up with all of this legislation. When they got done, they've implemented back this the SIP, the Continuous Improvement Plan, and every school district now has to do a SIP again. And these have been done for the last 15 years. It's in legislation. We have to do it. And so that's not a big deal, but they've rearranged the whole thing, they've changed it, and it's a whole different process to complete it, okay? So they just came out last week with the final rules on how to do the SIP, but it's supposed to be done like this December 7th. So that's one piece of what's been going on. The other piece is the Student Success Act, the SSA. The Student Success Act is that $2 billion that's going to be in corporate tax for, what do they call it? It's not a usage tax, it's a, anyway, that corporate tax, $2 billion, which is great. New money, fantastic, glad to have it, it's going to be wonderful. They've divvied that money up, they've decided where it's going to go and those kinds of things. School districts are not going to just get that money and be given. They have to apply for it. It's a grant. It's a non-competitive grant. If they apply, they get it, but they have to apply. Well, there's a whole process that they have to go through to be able to apply, and there's community meetings and all kinds of things that they have to do and come up with a plan and how they're going to spend it and how they're going to monitor what they've done and how they're going to be able to report back to the state and what they've accomplished, all this kind of stuff. In that Student Success Act, there is a piece of it that says ESDs will be around to assist, to give technical assistance to all of their school districts in their constituent area. So that's all fine and dandy. And it says each education service district will identify a staff member who will allocate at least 0.25 FTE, so 1/4 time, towards the role and function of being a liaison, the primary point of contact and collaboration between Oregon Department of Education, new Office of Education, Innovation, and Improvement, and the ESD they represent, and the districts within the ESD's service region. So we have to have a 0.25 person. Well, if you know anything about who we have in our employment, we don't have anybody that's got 0.25 left in their FTE. We're all working full-time jobs. Other than Debbie, and I asked Debbie if she wanted it, and well, she just said, she said, she looks, she read my mind. I said, Debbie, my goodness. Yeah, so we don't have any, so we gotta I gotta be able to hire someone for this .25 FTE. All right, great. So you think, all right, well, that wouldn't be too bad. Well, the problem is, when you look at what the allocation's gonna be. Steal one.
Now, all this has to be done by,
Oh, well, no, I'll get there, John, don't worry,
This
I'll
just
get there,
keeps getting better and better.
okay?
I
All
was
right,
mad
so-
at the meeting now.
Yeah. And so, if you look down here, here's the list of what everybody's gonna get in monies. Well, there's Lake ESD. We're gonna get $61,600. That's over a biennium. Okay, so that's over a 2-year period. So this .25 person can't make more than $30,000 a year. Okay, now we haven't calculated it out, but it's basically about, I don't know. It's 10 hours a week, and we haven't figured out how many weeks that's gonna buy us. It depends on who we're able to hire. But best part is, so we look at that and we say, oh wow, okay, maybe we could get something for that. But that $61,000, it's not gonna start coming until July. Till July. So that's $30,000, and we're supposed to get this person hired and get him up and running. Well, my business manager is a little tight-wad kind of thing when I'm asking to hire people and pay them with money that we're promised to have in July. And so, yeah, so we haven't done that yet, but yet we're gonna be required to do that and help them. But we have to do this because all of these applications are being done starting now. That's when it's starting, and I'll give you the timeline and stuff here in just a second. So, it is, yeah, it's quite interesting. So the technical assistance part, that is, this sheet here tells you a little bit about the technical assistance.
And did you say there's a new department at ODE?
Oh, yes. Yeah, new department at ODE. And, the best part is, talk about, you're driving the bus and you're building it. The people at ODE, they've hired, Scott, what's his? Scott Nine, they've hired him. This week, he's hiring 10 people into his new department. And then in January, because he's waiting for the $2 billion too, in January, he has to hire another 9 people. So there'll be 20 people in this department, and right now, none of them know what's going on. And in fact, they're not even hired yet. So, yet, they're building this bus as we're moving forward.
That's a lot of money for,
Oh, that's in the legislation, that the state gets this money to open up a new department for the administration
Right.
of the Student Success Act funds.
So that's
That's
how
in the legislation.
Because I asked him the same thing, if you know the need's there, why don't you just give it out to
that's
the,
what I said, why do you have
And
to
he
apply
said-
for something?
yeah,
It's-
basically he
it's
said
in the
it's
legislation.
political.
That's all I can, that's the only
Just
answer
so
I
they
have.
feel like they're, giving it to the people that justify that they need it.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't want to rain on our lobbyist parade, but I was
It
almost
is-
insulted with how
It
this
is
came about.
totally on
Yeah.
that they want to have, be able to justify what's happening with the money. They can go back to their constituents and say, here's how the money's being spent.
well, is the
So,
initial process, because what, due in December?
wait a minute, I'll get to that in a second. Well, the SIP is due in December. That's separate from the Student Success Act, but it's a whole process too.
But this person that we're supposed to hire, aren't they supposed to help with the SIP?
Yeah, and they don't exist yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the money
Has this-
doesn't exist until July.
Has this been,
But we don't even know if
Has
this
this
person, I
been
guess, they're gonna go through the
communicated?
process to apply for the money.
That is true.
So you're hiring somebody that you don't know if you'll use them or not?
North Lake and Lakeview it's worth their while. Because they've estimated it's gonna be about $650 per ADMW. And it's a special weighted, because the poverty weight, instead of a 1/4 weight, is a 1/2 weight. So it's an ADMW, but it's an odd W. Okay, so for Lakeview, they're looking at about $500,000. So for them, it's, you know, you'd be a fool not to. And North Lake is probably gonna, I'm guessing, at about 250,000, maybe 200,000. So I mean, it's definitely worth their while. I looked at Adele and Plush. Well, they put a floor on the amount of money. So for them, it's gonna be about it will be $35,000 for Adele, $35,000 for Plush. So that's a question, or that's a conversation we'll have to have at our next board meeting, is what we wanna do with that. And I'm guessing for Paisley, the online numbers do not count. So you've got what? 70, 80 kids in the building, times $650,000. It may or may not be worthwhile for them, but they may be at the 35,000. I haven't calculated it out.
Is this gonna be so cumbersome that?
Oh, a second, let me get there. I'm gonna get there. I got
You know
one- I
you're
got
10
one hand-
minutes already, by the way.
I know, I gotta give you guys this stuff, because you gotta understand. So here is,
Understanding already.
yeah, here is the liaison, what the liaison is supposed to do.
No.
Is this
Okay,
the
and the
quarter time?
addresses. Yes, this is the quarter time person, okay?
Okay,
This is what the liaison would be doing, okay? And
it's front and back. so
I've offered the
that's
job
right.
to 2 different people, and they've both turned me down. I offered to Kathy, and I gave Kathy credit, she was polite enough to let me pitch it to her before she told me no. But I also pitched it to another retired teacher, and he's not real, he wasn't confident about it, because what was I able to tell him? If you read through this, you need to read this. It is hilarious. It is such education ease. You have no clue, when you get done reading it, you have no clue what this person's gonna do, other than they're supposed to help the districts.
Did ODE write this?
Yes. Yeah, not me. No, this is
coaching skills.
coaching, yes. Yeah, so, are you interested, Clay? I know you've done Little League somewhere in the past.
Once.
So, yeah, so it's quite involved, but it's very difficult to say this is what your job would be, and what you would be doing. And it's a 2-year job. We've got the $60,000, so it's a 2-year job, it could continue on, I guess. But we're supposed to have everything done by June. So I don't know what the person would do past June, because everybody would have their applications in and would be receiving their monies at that point.
Experience doing something hard that required teamwork, coordination, and communication.
I'm telling you, this
But
is
at
a
the same
beat.
time, you have to have, be able to maintain an authentic, trusting relationship that facilitates shared action.
You tell me what that means. You're not even sit down later. Okay, so as this is all going on, that's what we're kind of doing here at the ESD. I'm trying to figure all that stuff out. The districts are doing this. And,
Let's make sure Kurt has a copy of that job description.
I do.
yeah, I gave you, yeah. So the districts, this is what they're getting as far as what needs to be done for the Student Investment Act, okay?
I don't want any job where you have to have strong written and communication skills, including public speaking on an impromptu and scheduled basis. Impromptu is
Yeah.
somebody mad at you and you have to speak about it in a way that won't.
Exactly. So you were asking, John, about the timeline. So look on page 15. So we're having to get our SIP done, our continuous improvement plan, done by December 7th, okay? And then all the rest of this is all stuff that has to be done for the application for the Student Success Act monies, which is it's the Student Investment Account. That's another acronym we're using now. That's the SIA, Student Investment Account, okay? So those are the different things that has to be done there on page 15. including, you know, we've got to have public input, all kinds of things. Do a needs assessment. Well, the needs assessment is supposed to be done for the SIP, but the needs assessment can be used for the SSA.
So there is at least one combination of the two.
Yeah,
You don't
and they're
have to-
telling us that you can cut and paste off of your SIP into this if they should align, is what the terminology they're using.
Better be careful though, because that might cost one job at ODE.
No,
That's one
trust
less
me.
Well, this
report.
is something we have to do.
No, you do not have to do it, but you will not get your 35,000 if you don't do it.
But if we don't pay a person for not knowing what they're doing, we're okay.
But we, as an ESD, no, as an
We're
ESD,
mandated.
we will have a .25 person dedicated to this job.
That's what, I guess. that
There's
was
no,
my
it
question.
says that we will,
I liked it.
so.
This is comfortable enough with technology. I'm no fan, but I'm comfortable enough. And then,
One where you have to weave.
You have to be able to navigate complex information
Well, how
and
about
make
This
sense
poor
out of the data.
person, if we get them
There's
hired.
experience doing something
Was
hard.
this all, this timeline, et cetera, was this in the law?
No.
Or was this developed?
This
by
is all the
ODE?
administrative rules that they are creating, as I said, as they're driving the bus, they're putting the wheels on it. And this is all stuff that they're
Whose idea
creating
was this?
as they're going, well, right now, it's Scott Shine.
Somebody
I mean,
wanted to give their friends jobs.
This is all him, and as I said, he's gonna have 19 people by January or something there. They're gonna be helping him have to do this, cause they
What was
have
he
to.
doing before this?
Well,
I'm not sure what it is.
aren't they getting,
Say pot.
I mean, it would be very, very difficult for us to do this. It's gonna be just as difficult for Clackamas County and so on. I mean, they're bigger, they've got more capacity.
Southern Oregon ESD said he's already hired, but I mean, you look at like Southern Oregon ESD, he's got, what is he, 2.1 million.
Why did High Desert get 1.1?
Yeah,
Out of
that-
curiosity.
Maybe.
It's all based on ADM, it's all ADMW. So just by sheer numbers of how many kids are in their county, or in their ESD area,
But that,
yeah.
okay.
And we're not the worst. There's a 51,000, there's a 46,000. So Region 18, I think that's Wallowa, they're 46,000. I don't know what they're gonna do
Well,
with
it's
that.
gonna be tough for anybody.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
is anybody pushing back against this?
I kinda did on Monday, when we had our off-the-record meeting where I got all this information from. And I pushed back and I said, I talked to both Scott Shine and Colt Gill together. I pulled them aside and I said, look, I don't know what you want us to do. I says, I don't know where I'm gonna find somebody who can meet those expectations of what you want for a liaison at .25. And I said, I don't even know if I can hire somebody for that kind of money. It says, it's not much money, $30,000 to do what you're wanting them to do. I said, I don't know where I'm gonna get it. I really do not know how this is gonna happen. I says, right now, I have nothing to be able to help my districts, other than what I'm doing is just, I'm helping them. So I'm using my time to do this. And I talked to Sarah, I said, Sarah, can we put that onto me? And she goes, no, we can't afford you. I said, oh, great. So, you know,
Well, there has to be a level of expertise to do that.
Well,
and,
absolutely.
You know, I mean,
yeah, this is,
so when do we have to hire this person by?
Soon it sounds like.
ASAP? And then where we're gonna take the money from?
Right. That's one of the questions into ODE is whether, when we get that chunk of money in
we've sent
July,
questions in.
if I
Yeah.
can back pay for this year.
Because it'd be
So you
a whole new,
basically-
it'd be a different fiscal year even by
Right.
July.
Yeah, especially if we got July, it's a whole new budget.
Yeah, whole new
Yeah,
fiscal year,
so-
you've spent it out of last year's funds, yeah.
I would be surprised if they said, no, you have to spend the 60 from next year. And that wouldn't make any
Right.
sense. So I'm anticipating being able to backfill. once
So if
we-
they don't pay you till July, does that mean they double the payment? So that you can pay for it next year?
You
Or
would get the
you always,
six, you
or are
would get
you
the
always a
60.
year
We
behind?
get the 60,000.
You would get the
Yeah,
60, that would
you'd get the
backfill what you
You're-
paid,
you're
and
always
then
a
you
year
would get,
behind.
no, you would get the 60
6 months
in
behind.
July.
Right.
So
And then
that's
you
2
would,
years.
that would be paying for what you just did.
Oh, for the
And then
15.
paying for the
15,000.
next year, yeah.
It's like you're carrying an account for the state.
Right.
I'm telling you, anyway, this is what I'm doing. This is the stuff that I've been trying for the last 4 months to
If
wrap
you're
my
glad
head
you're the
around.
superintendent.
I,
Did you have a meeting about this with community partners?
no, Will and I have been talking about this, and we had another meeting today, trying to figure out how in the world do we make this happen with the community and trying to get people's input and stuff like that. And he knows, and he says, I could serve dinner and people will not come
Right.
to a community meeting that's, what's it about? Well, we just want your opinion about the schools. They're not gonna come, you're gonna get 6 people. So what we're thinking about doing is they have, there's what they're called school messenger that sends out a message to every single patron in the district, and every school in the county has that. Well, I shouldn't say that, Plush and Adel do not. But everybody else has that. And what his plan is right now, what we've been talking about, we're developing a survey, and we'll create a Survey Monkey survey, and then we'll push that out to people's emails, to everybody in the district, to their emails, and see what kind of response back we can get from that.
Will that
So-
suffice for the,
What? The
community
community input, we think so. We're moving in that direction, and I talked to David Kerr this morning, and he already has his survey developed. We were still working on questions this morning, he already has his, and he's pushing it out, I think, this week. So, I don't know.
Has OSBA or somebody come up with a model plan, so to speak, for a mid-size?
No, everybody's asking for a model plan.
Yeah.
We have
Who's-
nothing.
No, what's the guy's name again? Shine?
9, Scott 9?
Scott 9.
Nine.
The number 9.
And who's his
Scott
boss?
9. Colt Gill, who's used to be called the superintendent of public instruction, but now he's the executive director of public instruction. Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know if it makes any difference, other than he can't be just, I know we're on film, but I'll tell you the truth. When you have the word superintendent with your name, you have no job security, you're an at-will employee. If he has executive director, he's not a superintendent, so they would have to go through the whole employment process to fire him. Interesting.
Couldn't you just say on the, advertise your board meeting and on the agenda we're going to discuss this?
That's what we're doing at Adel and Plush.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the Adel board meeting next month, we're starting the meeting a half an hour early and inviting everybody that wants to come talk about this to that meeting, which you know as well as I do, no one will come.
I don't get
Yeah,
the red
yeah,
light.
you're
We'll
not-
see.
Sadly.
But
But you
I
can
will be
check the
using,
box.
well, yes, but I will be using the board, who are a really good representation of the community, as my representation.
Yeah,
I
If we
mean,
start at
that's,
half hour.
yeah, I mean, that's all I can do, and then we'll probably end up doing the exact same thing in Plush.
yeah.
Because they are a good representation of the community.
And the state's
But, yeah.
giving me a lot of really good talking points to talk to the
Well.
community. but-
Yeah, thanks.
Well,
Oh,
OSBA and COSA really needs to push back on this. It's just,
Well, they're celebrating because they figure that they pushed for the money. It was a
Yeah.
big win, that was a, Which-
Jim and I are going to the OSBA meeting in November, middle of November, and this will absolutely be a topic of conversation at that meeting. And I will be curious to hear, at that point, where their take is on it. Because right now, all OSBA is doing is they are tooting their horns and shaking their pom-poms that they got this big influx of money and stuff, which is fantastic. I absolutely agree. Yes, we needed the influx of money. But there are so many strings attached to this stuff that I don't know.
And if you hire somebody at .25, so they're severely part-time,
Yeah.
then in 2 years, it's like, oh yeah, see ya.
Yeah.
They canceled the program. Is that?
Well, no, the $2 billion, that tax, September 30th was the final day for any type of lawsuit or any rebuttal or anything else to that tax. So that tax is in place, it's there, it's not going anywhere. So these funds are not gonna change. other than maybe increase, or, I guess. But they're not going anywhere.
The whole thing that's bothering me is I listened to them up at dinner and all the talking about we've done, and I still don't have a rat's clue what it's doing for the students.
Well, my vote.
You know, I don't,
Yeah.
what's the
Well,
goal?
it's, well, there's, and I didn't
Class
bring,
size.
I didn't bring the, there's a list.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
it was class size and it was,
Yeah.
It's in,
There's mental health, there's
mental health,
well-rounded education.
well-rounded
Yes.
education.
Which could
A
include.
lot of early
infrastructure.
child.
behavioral, yes, a
Yeah.
lot of early childhood,
So,
25%.
for example,
Yeah.
Sarah and I were talking, and actually Sarah came up with this fantastic idea, we were talking about the 35,000 at Adele, and I said, what am I gonna do with that stuff? And Sarah says, well, you can use that for infrastructure. So, gut the cafeteria or the kitchen in the community hall, and put in a whole brand-new kitchen, so that we can have some culinary arts for our kids. I mean, that's not something we would do normally as far as remodel that.
Yeah.
That would
But
certainly
it's definitely
benefit
not
the
usable
community.
right now as a culinary arts kind of thing.
No.
That
But,
would benefit the community, you get community.
well, it would
people
only be for the,
supporting
it would only be for the kids, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
of
you know what I'm
course.
saying, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
community hall, but I mean, but that would be something, we could make it to where it would be usable by the school as a culinary arts type of activity. And that would be helping with our well-rounded education.
Sure,
And it is, and well, right now, you can't do that.
you can't do it?
Well, no, the
Now.
kitchen that's in there now, it's
I
it's
meant
not.
that you had this great idea, but.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
Couldn't do
it's,
it.
still, the kitchen that's there now,
wouldn't work for anything like that
you know.
Yeah, that's why you.
So that's true
Yeah.
for all,
So that would be all, so if you had, so let's say, for example, you didn't have wood shop. I mean, you could say, well, we wanna bring in a wood shop to our school.
okay.
And I mean, you're looking at the ESDs and we're getting just a really small amount. And we're getting, some of them are getting, $2 million. You can imagine what Portland Public's gonna get at $650 per ADMW? Holy cow. You could put, I mean, what kind of programs can they bring out and, reduce class sizes? They'll be able to, hire teachers, by the bucket load. Of course, there are no teachers to hire. But, it's gonna be fantastic. And they'll hopefully will bring back a lot of things that we've needed for a long time. But anyway, that's what I've been working on, and it's been.
So, so the schools can spend that money for whatever they need, if they need teachers and
Mm-hmm,
they
yeah,
need a new classroom.
right? Yeah,
Not-
So are you gonna advertise for this position, or how are you gonna go about it?
I'm gonna have to, honestly, I'm gonna have to, yeah. But again, my arm's still sore from the last time I arm wrestled Sarah to try and get, to let me spend the money, and I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, we gotta look really closely at our budget on whether we could actually afford to do this or not. I mean,
You're going to have to put up
we got,
$15,000.
In a
no,
way,
30.
in a way, we kinda have to, because we've gotta help
It's
these
just being sure that
districts.
we'll be
to-
reimbursed.
Exactly.
Which is, it
Yeah.
seems more and more
But geez,
solid,
Uh-huh.
so.
Now, does the district have to hire people to kind of put this program, get it started, or is that all on us?
That's us.
That's all,
That's all
That's
us.
us.
well, it's all in the, you mean,
Their share is on them.
yeah, their
However
share
they
is on
wanna do
them.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to, Will's been pulling his hair out because he's trying to do this, pretty much on his own.
But are they
He's got a little
mandated
bit-
to hire somebody, I think?
No,
that's- Okay,
no,
so just ESDs.
no, just, we're hired, we're mandated as an ESD to help them. Which is great, I wanna help them,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. But when I look at the amount, I mean, if I advertise a $100,000 full-time job, at a professional level, I bet I could probably get it, in Lakeview. But for 30,000 at a .25, I mean, the only person I'm gonna get that's gonna have those kind of qualifications is gonna have to be some type of either retired educator or some type of retired professional in some way. And,
Don't they have to be an educator for 3 years or something like that, or?
oh, was that in there?
No,
I-
they said you could be like a nonprofit.
Oh,
You have to
Right.
have experience.
Yeah.
But you need to be highly
Experience.
skilled and discriminating.
Yeah,
Yeah, so to find this person, this is a needle in a haystack.
But our,
At 25%, but it's probably gonna be a person who's retired. And are they gonna want to? I mean, I'm thinking of pitching it to John next, but,
Yeah.
After PERS and everything, what's that leave you get paid out of 30,000?
So,
well, there won't, well, yeah, there won't be PERS,
yeah.
and there won't be any benefits, won't be any, you know,
Right, but
anything
what
like
is that?
that, but I don't know, I
haven't calculated
I haven't got it.
it at all.
Every time I talk to Sarah, it makes me sad, so. It's just- She won't let me play in the sandbox, she won't let me spend
If you pay
money.
30,000.
But
She's being
it's
discriminating.
30%,
Yes,
that's
she is.
9,000,
Hers is
so
like
is it 30?
33, well, so it depends on if it's a retiree, then it's like 30%.
Right,
If it's not a retiree, then we add the 6%.
so 36,
so-
but so a minimum of 9,000 out of that 30
It's gonna go
goes straight to
First, yeah.
PERS.
So now you got.
Now you're down to 21,000.
Yeah,
Plus, if they're a liaison, then the whole traveling in cars and
Yep, they'll be
mileage
traveling.
and going.
Are the people in Salem going to have like a little training session or anything for these?
Are you gonna share your office?
they will, once somebody there knows what's going on.
That's what.
And I mean, this meeting that we
Yeah,
had,
2%
this is the
could be in the
information I got, and
nursing
it's so ambiguous.
But this is just funny, sad.
But this is what they're going off of.
Well, somebody must have, I don't know, it's just.
Smoke pot.
They were.
We're on video.
What would your call
It's gonna
training
cost you
teacher
a
come
couple
with that?
thousand on that 30K just to pay someone to translate those
Just
jobs.
the job requirements.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm still thinking, if Jack shares his desk, you might have to get a bigger one, and then the office space is cleared up.
yeah,
We can save some money there.
yeah, just put them on the other side of my desk, and we'll
Yeah.
face each other.
Yeah.
Like the coaching skills, is that sports or coaching companies?
No, I think it's adult coaching,
Yeah.
yeah, coach
Life.
school
Good job.
districts and life
Good
coach,
job.
yeah.
Shall we move on?
So, anyway, that's, yeah, we beat this
Little chuck
to,
on the
beat it to a
shoulder.
pulp, but this is where I'm at, this is what's coming down the pike. And
And if we think of anybody that fits,
it won't be if we find somebody we're able to do it, I will go ahead and hire them, because they won't be a licensed person, they're not gonna be a teacher, so it won't have to come in front of you folks.
So can you put comedy in the paper?
They have to do all the background checks and all that?
Oh, yeah.
Kurt would be a great person for this, and you could keep writing for the paper on a part-time basis. That'd put you at 3/4.
Well, technically I'm unemployed right now. I'm working for both papers, but not employed by either. But I can
If we got a
assuredly
deal for
say,
you.
based on these requirements, not just no, but hell no.
He wasn't quite as nice as the other one.
No, she at least, yeah, I got a respectfully no, and then I got a read my mind no.
And now you got the
Then I got
help.
the, now I got the
Hey Dale, there in Summer Lake at the store, you're not necessarily busy.
Yeah, you're
All
right,
the time.
yeah, thank you. I was thinking about the person who's gonna apply for social security here pretty soon.
Not trusting.
Who's
No,
professional.
because if she makes too much, they'll start taking her social security away.
Yeah, they like it.
Not in a quarter-time job.
Okay,
You're not
yes.
helping
So
yourself.
that's it,
Okay, that was it?
that's what I know.
Oh, okay, all
I think
right.
that was exactly 10 minutes.
Yeah. Thank God you gotta deal with this.
That's the biggest.
Okay, information, discussion, mentor program rehire,
Yeah, that was Daphne Greer, just just a discussion item, just to let you guys know,
board policies, first reading, if we have to.
we do. So the first one, harassment, intimidation, bullying, cyber bullying, teen dating, all that kind of stuff, you can see in the red, it was a removal of that information. Just a change in after the last legislative session. So that's the only difference there.
Was that required?
What's that?
Was that required? First reading, that was required.
That was agreed, this is required, yes.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting. Oh,
I think all of these are required.
The last one is recommended.
Last one is, okay.
The weapons one, or?
The weapon
Public complaint.
is required again, it's just you see, just removed one sentence.
So you can't take their license. If you bring a gun to school, they can still drive.
The one thing that really works,
That's very true.
that works,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yep.
This use of restraint and seclusion, this one is that whole new legislation. It has really been changed. And frankly, it's, I had to look up what supine restraint was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what laying them on their back and holding them down on their back, which I thought that was.
This was pretty, are they gonna give you a better one? Because this was a mess. This is.
This is hard to get through.
Yeah, it's full of mistakes and bad punctuation and.
Right, well, we will,
We'll revisit this.
we will revisit this.
Okay.
What we'll do is next month, we'll bring it back to you with all the red markouts and everything else gone.
Yeah, this was overkill.
Yeah,
It really was.
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll give you the one with all the stuff removed out of it and stuff, so that it is gonna be what it is, and then we can edit from there if we need to for next month,
I
but.
thought it was interesting, it never asked, I mean, does law enforcement have to be notified in these situations or not?
No,
Nope.
not
Just with those.
restraint. No. But one of the things that we do in this, and that really protects us, is everybody that ever does this, they always go through the restraint training.
Right.
So, and that's provided by our insurance company. So, we're not just reading the policy and saying, oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do this. No, everybody that does this is trained, so.
But where do you put someone in seclusion?
If you had well, I've been in 2 different districts where they actually had a rubber room. And one district I was in,
How
it
much
was all.
time did you spend
It was,
there?
yeah. It was a padded room, I mean, honestly, it was a padded room, and they would put a kid in there when they would, blow up and stuff, they would put them in there. I went to another district, and they had the door was, it opened to the outside, but the door lock was locked from the outside, so they could actually lock a child in the room. And I got there in my first, like, second day of work, I think, and they were showing me around the building and this, and the custodian explains this room to me and stuff, and I said, okay. I says, your first thing you're gonna do, I says, you're gonna take that lock off of that door and put a closet door on there with no locking mechanism on there. And he says, well, yeah, but how you go? I says, no, you don't understand. You put a kid in there, and this building catches on fire, and that kid can't get out on his own? I said, I'm not going to prison for that. I says, get it off of there now. I says, I want it off there before the end of the week. And you put a different doorknob on there. I said, that's crazy. And within a week, he had it changed. I put the shelves back into it, and it became a storage closet. Didn't need it. It was ridiculous. But, yeah, that's what seclusion is.
Yeah, that
Putting
just
them in a
seems
room.
like.
So it's not just making them go off by themselves and they sit in the corner, or is it?
No, I wouldn't, timeout area or something like that.
Yeah.
Is not considered as.
I'd be hard pressed to have that defined as seclusion.
Yeah.
Because I
Would
mean,
you have to?
they're not locked into a room or physically put somewhere else.
When I was in high school, we actually had a teacher that make you take your desk out in the hall and sit there.
Oh, that's just good teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt that this will ever impact us.
Right.
But District
Well, the only thing that
7
would impact us is we do have, special ed teachers that may have to use this. We have SLPs that also work with difficult children that may have to use something like this.
Because even sometimes
They would have to
with
follow
the
board
special ed
policy
kids,
for the.
they just need to be held.
If they were in their
You know, I
building,
mean,
they'd
yeah,
follow their
just-
policy.
That's what
Till they
comforts
stop,
them.
yeah.
And they would train, and basically they would follow their CPI training, their restraint training.
It also says it has to be in their IEP, somewhere in here it says, it addresses that. It-
Yeah,
There it is, IEP team. But yeah, so I have lots of marks on that. So, first reading.
yeah. Well, if you have lots of mark stuff, give those to Taylor before you leave, so that she can see what it is, or we can make sure we address those.
Okay. Well, they cross out physical and then they put physical again. There's physical. So if it's not physical restraint, if it's just restraint, then it should be that way. Okay, I will.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, there's,
Okay, and then there's an AR on that same thing, which is, yeah, all the things you just said. The next one is public complaints. Not a whole lot there, in that one. Yeah, there's a couple of green things there. Parent or guardian, the first sentence, parent or guardian, student attending school operated by the ESD, of course, receiving services from the ESD, or a person who resides in the ESD, or a staff member or a student may petition the ESD with a complaint. So these are public complaints, so my suggestion is that we leave those, and, you know, if it's a public complaint, then technically anybody should be able to complain.
Right.
So, so my suggestion would be to just leave those. Because if you reside here, you could come in and complain.
I've already complained about.
Maybe we should just say anyone can file a complaint. Anyone who resides in the ESD can file a complaint. That's basically, are we excluding anyone?
I would say by that definition there, no.
So you could say any resident of
I think
the
so, I mean, yeah, it should be.
ESD.
Just doesn't happen much.
Yeah, I guess you could just say any person may petition the ESD with a complaint.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
There you go. You see where that's at?
Trying.
Just right here where it may petition.
I mean,
Anyone,
we never know.
this is all
Right.
anyone.
If that's what
may
this is saying.
petition.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was, where it should say.
Yeah.
Mine are mostly just typos.
Yeah, I guess the, yes, you are excluding, if we leave it the way it is, you are excluding, because if you are not a resident, you're not an employee, you're not a student, and a parent, you're a guardian, you can't just drive in here from Medford and come in at the door and say, I wanna file a complaint. Say, I'm sorry, you don't live here and you're not part of our organization.
But if you're a member of the public, bless you,
Yeah,
you know, and you have an issue, you see something,
right.
shouldn't you be able to bring it to the attention of
Um,
ESD?
The only hesitation that I have there, and it's only because it's happening, is there is in LeGrand School District has probably, I think he has upwards of 500 complaints and requests for records and things that are all coming from one, sadly, college professor at Eastern University. And she is absolutely badgering the district to no end. And if that's the case, you know, she resides in the ESD's area, you know, that kind of thing, so it would be possible. But I would hate for somebody outside to do what she's doing to that district. It's-
What's the rationale?
There is a way.
It's crazy.
There
Yeah.
is a way to fight that. 'Cause I've had that happen
Yeah.
with a different district. Initial things will perhaps give it a copy of a record for free. Then we start charging for the secretarial time and for copies,
Oh, they
etc.
do, they do.
And in which
Yeah.
case, that will usually
No,
stop
it
it.
hasn't.
Well, still,
It's-
it will
the
at
woman
least, it will at least
unreal.
pay for the cost of
Yeah.
that employee to go through. And if they're that serious,
Yeah,
let them pay for it,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and if she's got that much money, it did stop, we were getting a lot of weird requests from somebody wanting to know how much we paid everybody, etc. And we didn't at the cemetery district break it down by cemetery. It was just a total, you know, so on, and we finally started charging them, and we would get basically harassments from people who wanted records purely just to use up the time of our secretary, and we started charging them, and that is,
Is that considered a complaint though? I see two different things here.
Well, there's-
Complaint versus a request for records.
No, they're different, yeah. they're-
I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think we just leave it the way it is, or
Should the public be any,
What's good about that is if somebody does have a complaint, it's a roadmap for them to do it correctly.
Right.
Otherwise, they'll come in and go, well, I'm gonna phone the Department of Ed, and they haven't even started to go through the, you know.
The process.
And if there is a legitimate complaint, you know, you wanna hear it.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
I
I'm
think
just thinking on that first sentence of whether we want to leave it as it is or put the word, anyone.
Yeah.
if it's, okay, a parent or guardian of a student attending a school operated by the ESD, comma, or who is receiving services from the ESD, comma, or a person that resides in the ESD, comma, a staff member, comma, or a student may petition the ESD with a complaint.
I
So
like
is
it
that,
the way it is.
yeah, because resides in the ESD would kind of cover that.
it covers
Yeah,
all of it, it's
yeah.
just, I mean, if you're,
You're right.
it's just cleaner, but
Yeah,
if you
you say
wanna,
anyone who resides in the ESD may file a complaint.
Okay. And that
Or
opens it up
petition, complaint.
to the public that we care about, I guess.
Right.
Right. And if it's somebody else, they're gonna have an attorney or somebody else making that issue, so
Anyway,
it's.
yeah.
Yeah.
so you're fine with saying anyone who resides in the
And
ESD?
I'm fine with
'Cause-
anybody who
Yeah.
resides in the ESD.
I think the
yes.
resides is really important,
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
um,
I'm good with that.
I understand.
but it cleans it
That
up
makes
and it's,
So anyone who resides in the ESD may file a petition, or may petition.
and that's everybody in Lake County, right?
Right,
I
right.
mean, that we serve,
Yeah,
so that,
it'd be everybody in Lake County, yeah. Now, the next thing you have there is, you have a KLR1, a KLR2, and then you have the KLAR. My suggestion, I had Taylor print this is our current complaint procedure. And after looking at this, I recommend not either 1 or 2, I recommend
Stay
we
with
just
that.
continue with our AR. And for our AR, we can do whatever we want, because it's administrative rule, so it's not it's not something that has to be. Our complaint form is very simple, it's, we've got 15 days
Do we have to
instead.
say he, she wishes? Can't we just say their wishes?
Is that on this,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
ours?
Yeah,
Where's that
right,
at?
It's the superintendent, step 3, that first paragraph. The second
Oh,
sentence, if he, she
Oh,
wishes
just say
to
they,
pursue.
if they wish to
Yeah,
pursue.
and the report, and then in the next
Yeah.
paragraph, it's report of their findings
Yeah.
and their conclusion. The he, she step, I think that's,
and we did this not too long ago, I remember that.
There.
I'm looking at this one, it says 10 working days, then it
Yeah.
says 10 days. So what are we?
If their wish, if they, no, you're right, never mind, don't look at me. You're right.
Are we not
They wish
consistent?
to
We've
pursue.
got
Shouldn't
days
on
and
this, I'm
working
talking
days.
on this thing
Oh,
here.
yeah. I didn't even look at those.
Okay, so anyway, that's my recommendation, we can go back to.
You guys okay with that?
yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, we go to board policies, second reading. Do we have any issues with those policies? Before? Any comments? Petitions, deletions?
I would like to have it on this first one, the non-discrimination, says where the board will adopt, and the ESD will publish complaint procedures. I would like to say something of the nature that the ESD will have available. So a person would actually have to come in and ask for it.
There you go.
We're not, do we have, do you remember, do we have to have our complaint procedure on our website? I don't know if that's published.
I don't think it currently is.
I don't think it is either. So, I mean, I would like to just say, we'll have available
Sounds good to
complaint
me.
procedure,
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
John?
I'm fine, yeah.
And it does say here, and available on the homepage of the ESD website. And once we get it approved, we'll just put it into a PDF and we'll just put it on the website, I don't mind that.
We did
And that's
that.
something everybody's wanting us to do
It's easy.
now. Yeah,
Well, and it eliminates the I couldn't get there. I couldn't fill it out.
yeah,
Couldn't find it.
right. You were discriminatory because I don't drive, I don't walk, and I don't,
But I don't have,
That sounds like
I
me.
have no transportation to get to the ESD, so, yeah.
Okay, anything else on board policy, second reading?
Did you vote on them?
Oh, good, okay.
OSBA annual
Here we go.
conference, November 14th and 17th. Anybody make a sales
Jim?
pitch now?
Jim and I are going as of right now. So, and do we still have the third room?
Yes.
Okay, so we still have the third room, so this was our last offer, if anybody else wanted to go. We're going on November 13th, and that's a Wednesday, we're leaving, and then we will come back on Saturday.
It'll be 80 degrees in California.
Yeah.
You do down there?
I knew you'd be interested, so. All right, so
Going
I'll
once,
have,
twice.
I will have Taylor cancel the third room, and, I wanted Taylor to go. It's November 13th. She's due on the 17th. I think it gives us plenty of
Plenty
room.
of time.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of room.
And if not,
spare.
just bring a catcher's mitt.
Yeah.
That would be a board.
Yeah.
That would be a.
I mean, as
Bring
the
your
board,
one's always late
Board
anyways.
as the board secretary, I think it would be very appropriate for her to go, but she declined. So just put that note in there that, we offered, but she declined a perfectly good vacation.
I said I would go if you came early.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go to action items, approved board policies, second reading. Do you have a motion?
Make a motion.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4.2, reinstate enrichment funds and to buy the.
Did you have the
I do
amount?
have,
Yeah,
yeah,
she
I
had-
have the
she had a
quote if
handout.
you guys wanna see it. It's, if you do $9,300, that's enough for them.
So public documents, it's just what we spend on that.
So you wanted us to approve $9,300 from the enrichment funds for Chrome,
No, just from the budget.
from the budget, okay.
Right, from the budget, because
Okay.
that money was not budgeted.
Okay, for Chromebooks, et cetera.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And with that, I will bid you an adieu. Fondue. Rubber.
Pretty good, not your fastest meeting.
I know, he goes to just 10
Hey,
minutes,
you
but,
guys didn't come last month, not my fault, I had twice as much stuff
but
on my
the
plate.
comedy effect was actually very
Actually, you
good.
have